with Tracy and LA. Hello, welcome back to my new podcast, Dance Journey. We're here with my friend Irene today. Say hi.
Hello.
My friend from ballet. I'll tell you a little bit about how I met Irene while it was in ballet class.
Yes.
I don't know if there was like a huge story, but we'll talk a little bit about our friendship.
Okay.
But first, I want to tell you that we are here at Westside School of Ballet in Santa Monica. We are about to take Chasen Greenwood's ballet class. What's it called? Which level is this called?
It's intermediate.
Intermediate.
Yes.
Isn't it now called intermediate/advanced technically?
Oh, yes, that's correct.
So yeah, we're going to take that class. This is so for most of my interviews, we've tried like kind of newer classes or classes I haven't taken or something, but this is actually a class we go to every week. How long have you been going to this class?
2 years.
2 years. Actually, I thought you went for longer.
No, 2 years.
Is it because you went to the Saturday class for a while first? Because you've been taking ballet longer than 2 years, right?
I've been taking Chasen's class for 2 years.
2 years. Oh,
yes.
Okay, cool.
And there's a funny story how I found him, if you want to.
Oh,
if you
yes.
want that
Tell us
story.
the funny story about how you found him. Yes.
Okay, so I was taking ballet classes in a studio in El Segundo for about 5 years, and then the lockdown happened, and she went straight to Zoom, and I didn't want Zoom. So I didn't take ballet at all for 3 years, and I did hiking and running and all this stuff, and then I decided to do weight training. So I was doing weight training for about 6 months, and I got really bulky, and I looked at myself, and I'm like, I gotta lengthen out. I'm getting a little too puffed. So I'm like, I gotta go back to ballet. And so I remembered that there was this lady that she opened up her own studio, basically for children, but she had an adult class, and it was close by. And so I went, and the classroom was about as big as this car.
Oh.
It was really small.
Whoa.
And then it turned out I was the only one in class. So it was me and the teacher. And the teacher walks in, and she looked like a professional dancer, but she kept, she asked me like, oh, what kind of ballet have I been studying? And I'm like, I'm a beginner. I haven't danced in 3 years. I lost all my ballet muscles. I just want to get back. I just want to do basics. And she's like, oh, did you train in Russian or American or this or that? And I'm like, I don't know. I would figure that beginner class is just beginner. And then she started talking to me about herself. Well, this is where I trained, and this is where I went. This is what I did, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like 10, 15 minutes into class, we're still standing and talking, and she's talking, and I'm like, when are we going to start? And finally I had to say, can we start moving? And so she goes, all right. And so she started giving me these combinations that they weren't warm up. They weren't like plie.
Yeah.
It was like they were like random combinations that I'm like, can't do this. And then she started correcting me, and then she started talking again, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, another 15 minutes goes by, and I'm like, can we move again? And she's like, okay, let's hurry up with the bar, because I know you want to go to the floor. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the floor. I'm not even warmed up. And I was so upset. I couldn't believe that she was doing this to me. And then it was an hour class, and after class, I just went out and I talked to the owner, and I said, I'm not even warmed up. All she did was talk the whole class. I just stood there. We didn't do anything. And so, she didn't make me pay for class.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And so then she called me, or she texted me saying, oh, I have another teacher. Why don't you try her? I'm like, all right. So I go, and it's a younger ballet girl, same room, one-on-one. It's like nobody's going. I'm the only one. And again, she's not doing the basics, like the beginner warm-ups or anything like that. And I'm lost. I have no ballet muscles whatsoever. So I was just furious. I'm like, okay, that's it. But I'm like, am I crazy? I'm like, did ballet teachers change in the 3 years? What's happening? I'm like, I know this is not the right way to have a class. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Westside. I used to live in Santa Monica, and I came here, and I'm like, you know what, I don't care how.
Oh, you used to take ballet here.
Yeah, but not with Chasen. It was
Oh, okay.
someone else. And so I said, I don't care how far I have to go. I need a good ballet class to, I'm like, I'm not crazy. So I went all the way here, and my first class was Chasen. And I stood up in the front, and he said the first line, I don't know what he said, but the first line was, all right, he's my teacher. And he's been my teacher ever since.
Wait, he said something and then you were like, he's my teacher.
Yeah, because I knew he was going to teach correctly. And that was it. And that's been my story with him.
Wow.
Yeah. But I was so bad in the beginning. I lost all my muscles. And so I knew I had to really work hard at getting them back.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't go to his intermediate class for a while. I was like working really hard. And then finally I asked him, I said, is it okay if I go? And he goes, yeah. And I went. The first time I went, I stood in the corner, and I was early, as usual. So, and I started to get nervous, because I'm like, is this too much for me? I mean, is this too advanced? And now I'm sweating. The class hasn't even started yet, and I'm early, and I'm sweating, and I'm like, crap. Why am I here? And I'm like looking around, how can I escape? And people are coming in, and I'm like, oh, I can't leave. So
it hadn't even started yet, but you just thought it's too advanced.
I was like, it's too advanced.
But you didn't even see anything yet.
Yeah, but I didn't feel that I was good enough. And then all these advanced students, I mean, professional dancers were coming in.
They just looked professional.
Oh, and they were professional. So, so I was like, crap. And then I just did my best. I stayed in the corner, and I got through it. But one thing I didn't know was, like he teaches the combination at the end, and he does it for every class. He usually repeats it for a while. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know this, and he marked the combination, and then he put the music on, and everybody went, except for me, because I'm like, how did people know what the combination is through marking? Like, I didn't realize that he had done it before, and I was so angry. I was just angry at the whole. I'm like, did I miss something? Is there something between beginner and intermediate that I missed? Like, how does an intermediate know what marking it actually is? And so that's what happened in my brain, and I didn't realize that everybody just knew the combination from before. So I'm like, that's it. I do not want to be beginner anymore. I am going to try so hard to get into the intermediate ability, so that I can learn, I can know what marking is. And that's been a big journey for me, is developing my muscles and changing my body at this age. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of me too. Even when I first tried Chasen's beginner, at the end with the center work, he was marking it, and I was like,
what is he doing?
I don't even know what that is. Like, I didn't grow up doing ballet, so I don't know everything. Like, I've had some ballet before I came to Westside, but I didn't know what was going on. So I remember asking my friend Haley after class, like, what was that? What's that move? Because she was doing it, But and then I had this. But then, I kept coming back and realized, oh, he does the same thing every time. Well, similar stuff every time. Right. Yeah. And you can also watch the other people each time. Right. So you're like, when the other dancers who know it are doing it, they're doing it full out. And Chasen does sometimes do it more full out, but sometimes he marks it more, and people just know. And you're like, how do they know? It's like, so crazy. And then when I first tried intermediate, I had the same experience again, where I was just like, what? But like, fortunately, I was already friends with Irene when I went to that for the first time, and she was like, don't worry, he does similar stuff every week. Like, you're gonna get it. I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get it. So we're here for Chasen's class tonight. Yes. And that's how you found Chasen's class, kind of how we both, I just sort of was looking for ballet classes and ended up in Chasen's class by accident in the beginning and just like really liked it. But what do we like about Chasen's class?
Well, I love how he's just, I love the music. He plays his own music. And I just like how he commands the class. Mm-hmm. Like, he knows exactly what he wants us to do, and he counts it out, and he's just very commanding, as opposed to, I've had teachers like, all right, let's see, what should we do? And I'm like, shouldn't you know before class? But he's like on it. And I think that's what I like about him.
Yeah.
And he's so and it's so and he when he does demonstrate or when he does dance, he's like 100%. He's all out. So it's really nice to see someone dancing all out, and it's so inspiring. It's so motivating that it makes me want to be a better dancer. Yeah.
That's really true. Yeah, when you watch him dance, you're like, whoa,
I
he's
know,
so
it's
good.
like-
And even some of the other dancers in class, you're just
Yes.
like, wow, they're so good. And it's like
Right.
very motivating to take class with people that are more advanced than you. And it's also cool if there are people that are less advanced, because then you can like help them or they can be
Right.
inspired by you. So it just kind
Yes.
of works for everyone. But yeah, and I like that about Chasen's class too. He's like very prepared. He always like
Very
knows what he's
prepared.
doing, and
Yeah.
he keeps things moving. So
Right.
like I've taken ballet before where it feels a little slow pace. I get a little bored.
Right.
Not because it's too easy, but I just ballet in general. Like I usually take other styles, so ballet can seem boring for my personality. But Chasen really he keeps the pace going. I really like that. And the music he uses, agree, it's like really fun. He uses a lot of like Disney music or Harry Potter songs or
Yeah.
soundtrack songs.
But even
and
and
like
classical stuff
classical
too.
too, but like he has like a good variety.
variety, yes,
yeah,
he
which is
does.
really nice. And and he also has kind of like he like has high expectations, but he also has like a good sense of humor too. So I think the class
Right.
is still like fun.
And he's very patient because he knows that there's all levels in his class, from beginner to
yeah.
even professional, from the Bolshoi Ballet, and so he's very patient in that sense.
Yeah, Irene and I actually just recently started taking his open company class.
I know.
Which, like, he kept posting on Instagram that it was, like, open to everyone, and I reached out to Irene. I was like, is it really open to everyone?
I'm like, yes, come, because I'm the least.
But Chasen specifically invited Irene, or was like, you should come. And he said, I guess he told her, like, you should invite your friends. I was like, okay, well, he knows I'm friends with you, so I don't think he would be mad if I came.
And I need company in my level,
Yeah.
because those women
Yeah.
and those guys, boy, woo.
They're really good. And in their point shoes and doing their
Right.
million foot-day turns
They
or whatever.
don't want to have anything to do with us.
That is not true. They're nice. I feel like they've been really nice.
Okay.
But it's, so a few of us who are not as advanced go to that, and it's good because it like pushes us a lot.
It does push us.
And,
It's very nice.
so we've been getting like a lot of training. But so going back, we'll go back a little. So when I don't remember first meeting you in ballet.
I do.
Do you? Okay.
I have a story. I
Okay,
have
what's
a
the story?
So I remember you, and you were struggling with PK turns.
Okay.
Right? Remember sometimes he says, all right, you can do slow PK or a fast PK.
Yeah.
And so even slow PKs are actually harder than the fast PKs.
Sometimes
And
if you're
that's-
trying to do them like correct.
If you get, exactly. It forces you to do it correct. So I would always volunteer or raise my hand. I'm going to do the slow because
okay.
the better you get it slow is the better you get it fast. And so I saw you kind of struggling, and we got into the same group, and we went, and I gave you a high five because I wanted to, motivate you and encourage you. And I always try to encourage you and motivate you. And then that's how we became friends. And then I realized, you're a bad mamma jamma in the dancer when I saw you doing hip hops and stuff. You were like, no problems going out there and doing it. You knew the combinations and everything. And I thought you were like little mild and meek little girl.
No, I remember now because
some support.
When I first started posting my dances that's funny because I didn't realize, when I first started posting my dances on Instagram, because I just got on Instagram, and Irene's all, I thought you were like kind of shy, like Tracy.
You're not shy.
And I do remember the PK turns. I remember us going in the slow group at the end to like work on it better. And I don't remember like a specific moment of becoming friends, but I remember like, Irene's just very friendly. I feel like Irene just talks to a lot of people in ballet, and so I think I just maybe was drawn to her because she was always like friendly, and I think we just stood kind of in around the same area of the bars, like or on the left side somewhere. And then I think I don't always like, I'm friendly if someone talks to me, but I don't always like go out of my way to meet like as many people as possible or anything. So I think Irene chatting with me, I was like, oh, she's nice. And so I started talking with her, and yeah, you were probably like encouraging me because you've been taking the class longer than me. And then at some point, I think when I got on Instagram and I was following you, I was just like, I want to get to know Irene better. And so then I remember we were in the intermediate class, and I was like, do you want to grab coffee or something?
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't drink coffee, but
And
I was
then-
like, do you want to hang out sometime?
And then we found out we were both Christians, practicing
Yeah.
Christians. That was really, really nice. You've helped me immensely on my Christian journey. Just, thank you very much. But I wanted to say that I consider myself an athlete. I have a sports background. So when you're on a sports team, it's like you want everybody to be good, and you help everyone, and you motivate everyone. I have like a team mentality when it comes to sports. So I think I bring that into ballet class when I see, everyone, we're in the same class. So I still have that team mentality.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm always like encouraging or, helping. If someone needs help, I'll help them. I'll be more than happy to help, because it doesn't work both ways. I've asked someone to help me, and they said no.
They really just said no?
Said no. And so I thought, all right, I'm never going to be like that. If somebody asks me, I am going to help them no matter what,
Aw, that's so nice. You're definitely one of I have like a handful of dancer friends that have always helped me like after class and stuff, and you're one of them because you always you understood the combinations better than me, like. And so I would just be like, what? I still do that, actually. We still do that.
Right.
We'll probably
but
do that
I make
tonight.
sure step by step,
Yeah.
I don't just go. Some people just say, if I ask them what it is, they'll just show me. And I'll be like, okay, that's great. Now I know that you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
But I still can't do it.
Irene is a very good teacher, and she will take time to be like, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it this way. And I remember there was one night that I didn't stay after class, and Barry texted me, one other friend in ballet, and she was like, wow, what did she say? I can't remember what she called you, but she was like, wow, Irene's like she didn't say slave driver, but she was like, oh, she's like cutthroat, like getting us to do it right.
Right, because if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna learn it the right way first. And what you have to do is you have to learn the first step before you go on to the second step. You can't just like sludge along on the first step to go to the second one. So I just made it was tombe pas de bourrée, glissade saut de chat. So I was her and Sissy. I was like, all right, both of you. When I say go, you're just going to go tombe and then stop. And I would say go, and they would go tombe, and then they kept going. I'm like, no, stop at tombe. So I made them do tombe over and over and over again, so they knew what it was.
Nice.
And then I made them do tombe pas de bourrée until over and over again until they got comfortable. And then I went step by step, and then they learned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, when Barry sent me that message, I was like, I need to start staying after class and having Irene show me stuff because it sounds good. It sounds like first you have Chasen, then you get a whole second session with Irene, who's like pretty intense too.
But the thing is, when you teach, you instill what you just learned even more.
Into
So
yourself.
it's always
No,
helpful.
It's really true. Anytime
Yeah.
you teach, you like learn something better. So I mean, that's kind of how Irene and I became friends. We kind of started hanging out a little bit after ballet. Outside of ballet, and we actually really like to make videos of things and be silly, and like we've had like a lot of fun together. So it's been fun getting closer with Irene. But okay, so we kind of talked about our current ballet experience,
Right.
how we became friends, but now we want to kind of talk about how your dance journey started, because Irene, I feel like
yes.
you may have told me, but I can't totally remember because obviously we don't have time for the whole entire life story, which I actually have heard a lot of because I know you lived in New York, you did acting, I kind of heard how you got into that, but I don't remember. I think you told me, but I don't remember how you actually ended up taking dance.
Yes. So I'm from Boston, and after college, I moved straight to New York City to pursue a business
Degree.
life
Or
job.
okay.
And so I did, and I hated it, and I took some time off, and I discovered acting, and I'm like, oh, all right. so I'm going to have to take acting class, voice class, and dance class, and then I'll be on Broadway in a year.
How did you discover it? Just because you were in New York and just people around you were like just doing it?
No, that's a story. So I quit my job,
Yeah.
like you did, and not having anything.
Yeah.
And so I just discovered New York, different people and stuff, and I met someone who knew someone who owned a modeling agency for shoe models, right?
I remember you
Not
telling me
feet,
this now.
but shoe
I was gonna
models.
say feet, yeah.
So I became a shoe model, and I thought, all right, I'm a model. I got my pictures taken. And then I got backstage. It was a newspaper back then, and I was looking through backstage, and there was an audition for a movie, and I got a picture, send in my picture. And I got cast in it, and I was like on set for the first time. I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so then that's when I said acting classes, voice class, dance class.
Okay.
And so my dance class was, I believe it was at Steps on Broadway.
Nice.
And
what was your first dance class?
It was jazz, and it was called Jazz for the Absolute Beginner Adult.
I remember seeing classes called that for the absolute beginner.
That was the only class at that time.
Oh, okay.
That was called that. And so, and I'm like, I'm an athlete. I could do that, right? I could not do it. When it came to doing the arms and the legs together, I could not move my arms and my legs at the same time. And I was like, everybody else was doing it except for me. And I'm like, why? And so that made me. This was
in the absolute beginner class.
Absolute beginner.
You're like, is it really for absolute beginners?
It was for absolute beginners. And so that made me go back again and again and again, because I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. And so, and then I started getting better. And then I think I must have stayed in that class for like 5 years, 5 times a week. I mean, I was determined to. And I loved jazz. I just absolutely, I loved the music. I loved the choreography and the movements. And then I went to a more advanced, probably beginner jazz or whatever, and I fell in love with the other teachers and the other.
Aww.
And so I fell
all at Steps on Broadway.
Yeah, and so I loved it so much, and then I realized that I cannot move my body the way I want to. For the choreography and the music and stuff, because my body was just not developed enough. And so I thought,
like developed in ballet technique?
Right.
Or what do you mean? Okay.
Yeah, and dance technique, turnout, muscle control, you know. So I thought, all right, I got to go to ballet to learn all that stuff. And I didn't like ballet. I didn't like the buns, and I didn't like anything about it. It was just the opposite of jazz. So but I knew I had to get better. So I went into my first ballet class wearing my jazz outfit, jazz shoes, all black, my hair's wild. And then the teacher probably thought I was crazy. And then we had to, like in jazz, you're not in first position. I'm like, what is this first position? What is this? I didn't know anything. And the teacher kept saying, point your toes. And I'm like, I am pointing my toes. And I wasn't pointing my toes. And my feet didn't have those muscles yet. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. But that kept me going. And then finally I got ballet shoes. At first I'm like, this is so hard. I'm not even worthy of wearing ballet shoes. That's how I was so impressed with this. And then you know, I fell in love with my teacher. He was so good. He just taught. It was all ballet, all business. And so I stayed with him for 5 years until I moved to LA.
And that was at Steps on Broadway too?
And that was on Broadway Dance Center.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the ballet teacher at Broadway Dance Center?
Yes, his name was Peter Schabel, and he was a protege of David Howard, who was a famous ballet teacher who would come in to substitute every once in a while. But Peter was so good. But if you looked at him, he looked like a librarian or an accountant, you know, just a simple guy. He had round glasses, wire rim glasses, and you would never think if he's walking down the street that he was a ballet dancer. And so, but then when he demonstrated just a plain tendu, his whole body went into alignment, and I'm like, yeah, he's professional, definitely.
Wow. That's so cool. I love that you got to start your training in New York. That just seems like a dream to do that there. It's so cool.
Yeah, because there's so many professionals there. And forget about Broadway. I mean, I thought, oh yeah, I'll take dance for a year, and I'll be on Broadway. I'll take voice class. I stopped taking my voice classes because I felt bad for my voice teacher. I'm like, oh my God, my voice is so bad. I feel bad for her.
That's hilarious.
And so, but yeah, but after a while, I discovered country western dancing, two-stepping and line dancing. And,
in New York you did?
Yeah, in New York. There was a club just opened up. So I got really good at it. And this guy said, he goes, Irene, you should try out for Broadway. And you're such a good dancer. And I'm like, he says, I sign up the dancers. So, you can come up and I'll sign you up. And I'm like,
Like at the audition he signs them up?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
So I'm like, does he know something I don't? Because I don't think I'm a good dancer. He goes, Irene, you should go. He goes, he told me the next audition, and so I went.
That's so cool that you got to go to an audition.
I was so bad.
Was it an audition for like an actual Broadway show?
Yes, but I don't even know why they let me stay there, because they showed the first 8 counts so quick. Everything that whole dance choreography, they showed it so quickly, and I was so behind. I was watching everybody else, and I wasn't good at all. And these people are like professional. They started when they were 5 years old, and they were so good. And I'm like, and I look back and I'm like, they should have just kicked me out, because I was not good at all. And you know what it was for?
What was it for?
The King and I.
I love that. I was going to ask you what it was for. I was in The King and I when I was little.
There you go.
I wasn't a dancer on Broadway
Right.
in The King and I,
Right.
but I love that musical.
Yeah, I did too. Thank God they didn't hire me. That would have been horrible.
That's
The people would have
hilarious.
asked for their money back on the tickets.
Oh my gosh, I love that you got to go to an audition though. That's really
No,
cool.
no.
Like,
I
no.
was like, why?
But did it make you be like, I need to become even better? Or were you kind of like, Broadway is not for me?
Well, I knew at that point that these Broadway triple threats, they started when they were young, 5 years old.
Yeah.
And here I am. Like I was in my 30s. I was 35 when I started ballet. And they're already developed. Their voices, their acting, their bodies, their ballet. They're already developed. And it would, so, no.
So then you obviously kept doing dance.
I did.
But then did you have a new goal for dance? Or was it just like, I'm just doing it because I like it?
I fell in love with it, and then I fell in love with ballet, and it just made me I think it made me a better person. It made me a better actor. Definitely, I could like move across the stage and talk at the same time. And so, yeah, and it made me a better two-stepper. Like, I had a scholarship for ballroom. Like, it made me a better dancer in other areas of dance.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, I never went back to jazz.
Oh.
I was so busy with ballet because there was so much to work on that I didn't have time for jazz anymore.
That's funny, because I kind of had a similar thing with ballet where I only was taking it to get better at the other styles I actually liked, mostly jazz.
Right.
And I didn't really like the ballet in the beginning either. But then I quickly fell in love with it too. And I was struggling. I mean, I was still doing my other styles, but I was struggling to fit it all in. I remember my ballet teacher kept wanting me to come more times a week, and I was like, this was the studio I used to train at, but I was just like, there's too many styles. I love everything. But I never thought that I would love ballet so much. And now, with how much I like Chasen's class, sometimes I'm like, I think I like ballet more than anything. But I don't think that's totally true, because I think the reason I like it now is because I don't have to memorize a million counts of choreography. So it's kind of like a rest for me.
Yes.
It's not really a rest because it's a hard class. But and the center work at the end can be really tricky. But it's like short trickiness versus learning like 48 counts, and so it is a little bit of a rest for my brain. So I'm like, oh, ballet, we get to be at the bar and we listen to good music and I get to see my friends and we do like releves, and I don't know, I do love like the structure and the technique.
I like it because, like I told you that story before, it sharpens the axe.
Yeah.
So it sharpens me. It makes me a better dancer.
Yeah.
And it's ballet is tough. I mean, even professional people are still taking classes. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, through all my dancing, I never wore a leotard. I put my hair in a bun, but I would never wear a dance leotard. It was always like shorts or a unitard or you know, a camisole and shorts until last year when I decided to join the adult showcase. And I knew if I was in the showcase that they would put me in a costume and it would be a leotard. So I bought a
I
leotard.
forgot about that. You
So
did tell me that.
Right, I bought a leotard before that so I could get used to it. And I'm telling you, it makes such a difference. I was very uncomfortable wearing the leotard for the first time. But now I have several leotards.
I know. I was like, no, you always wear leotards. But then now I remember when you told me that you were like, we're going to have to wear a leotard in the showcase. So I'm going to practice wearing leotards. But I think I never realized you weren't wearing leotards because the stuff you used to wear before that, I still feel like it had a leotard look.
No, it was just
Like
shorts. It was very athletic. I was wearing what I wore to the gym.
Really?
And I always felt like an athlete that's learning how to dance.
Okay.
I never felt like a dancer learning how to dance.
Okay.
But now in my leotard, I'm like, now I have to live up to my leotard.
I love that. Live up. You should write a book one day called "Living Up to My Leotard." I think that's a good title.
Right.
I kind of have the opposite order where I started out taking ballet with a teacher who was like, "You can wear whatever you want. It doesn't matter." She like specifically said that, and she was like, "Just get ballet shoes." And then, but I went all out, went to this special dance store, got a leotard, got these cute little shorts, got the pink tights, like with the hole in the bottom for your feet so you could wear flip flops. Like I was asking the lady at the clothing store, at the dance store, like what I should do with my hair, how's the best way to keep it up for ballet. I was like, I am gonna come looking like a ballet dancer to my kind of almost first ballet class. And I loved walking around in that. I would walk around downtown Pasadena, like walking to ballet. And sometimes I'd go to Trader my notes fell. Sometimes I would go to Trader Joe's after ballet in my ballet gear and just be like, I'm a ballet dancer. And it's funny because now I'm taking like more ballet and I'm taking at Westside School of Ballet, which is like a pretty professional type studio. And I stopped wearing like leotards or anything like that. I just wear whatever I want. But recently I have gotten a few leotards and gotten into it a little. Yes, and they look
really nice on you.
Thank you.
So when I first started going, I used to like watch or look at the girls who were wearing the ballet outfits, and I'm like, all right, she looks like a ballet dancer. I'm going to watch her. And no, she's not doing anything right. So the advanced ballet dancers, they just wear they don't always wear leotards.
Yeah.
And they're like, they wear the raggedy stuff, and then I'm like, all right. They're advanced or professional, but I learned with them I can't even watch them because they do their own thing. They're not even doing what we're supposed to do, and I'm like,
they do like a more
I'm just going to focus
version.
on me right now and learn how to do it correctly and not have to watch everyone, which is good because it's not good to watch all the time, and I used to. And it's just not good, especially if they make a mistake. Then I make a mistake, and I get upset at them. And I'm like, it's just my fault.
It's nice if you have someone to watch on the first round, and then when you do the other side, you're like, okay, this is the side I'm doing by myself. Or it's good to have a mix of it. But it is funny how some of the advanced dancers like wear like kind of baggier pants sometimes, and I'm like, I know. But you can't see the line. And
they're used to. They know what to do. They know exactly what to do. They don't need to show off or anything.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And you really can wear, at least at these classes, you can wear like whatever you want. But I do like the feeling of when you dress more for ballet, it's like you do kind of feel just like, okay, I'm a ballet dancer. And it kind of pushes you.
It does. It does. I'm like, I have to, now that I look like one, I have to act like one and move like one. And so
my old ballet teacher used to always talk about our posture even outside of ballet class. It's like everywhere you go, when you're sitting at your desk at work, when you're in your car, push your back back.
Right.
Push your back all the way back to like sit up straight, like stop hunching over your phone. Like you need to walk around. And she would tell this story about how there was this like older woman who was like severely hunchback, but every day she would try to straighten it, and over like a matter of a certain amount of years or something, she got it all the way straight. So she was like, it's never too late to get your posture back in order, and you have to get your posture in order everywhere so that when you're at ballet, it's like even stronger.
Yes.
And that's something I still need to work on, because she used to push it so much that I would think about it all the time, but here nobody talks about that. So I sometimes forget, and I just...
No, they don't talk about it. It's up to you. I mean, we're adults, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you cannot learn ballet in an hour and a half once a week or twice a week. You cannot get better unless you actually practice it outside of class. Practice your posture, do exercises. When I go to the gym, everything I do has to do with how do I make my body better for ballet? How do I build my muscles better for ballet? I'll stretch at the gym for an hour and a half just so that I can get better for ballet. I stretch at home. I do exercises at home. I follow certain people on Instagram who actually show how to do exercises, because in class they don't tell you how to move your body. They show you what you should be doing, but they don't say double stretch your legs or go down and out or open up at the hip sockets. All the time you're supposed to be opening up at the hip sockets. They don't say that. They don't say how.
Sometimes they do, but not like
once
always,
in a while. But not enough.
Yeah.
Because we need to have that instilled all the time until our bodies are naturally like that. Like professional ballet dancers, they've been doing it all their lives, so their bodies are naturally like that. Our bodies are not naturally like that, so we always have to think about it until they become natural, and that's what I work on at the gym, is building those ballet muscles so that I don't have to think about it all the time.
That's good. Did you just like research what the ballet muscles were to figure out which ones to work out?
Absolutely, I did, and I still do. And I got that from, I used to teach rowing. And, I was on the women's crew team in college, and I was the little guy. I was the coxswain with the big mouth.
Wow.
So years later, I came here, and someone found out, and they invited me to be their coxswain at their rowing club. And I found out that these rowers, they're like the adult recreational ballet dancers. They're not athletes. And they don't even want to try to be athletes. And the coaches were Olympic, rowers and bronze medal winners, and they were really good. But the coaches weren't teaching them correct technique, just enough to get by. And the adult rowers were just doing, got the gist of it, but weren't working towards getting better. And so it forced me to learn how a rower rows, like biomechanically, and every technique of the row. So I could teach them when I'm in the boat with them. And then one thing led to another, because what happened was we had a coach, and if it's foggy, we can't go out on the water. So there was this one rower, she had 5 rowing machines. So we would try the rowing machines, and I'm like, oh, I want to do it with the team. I want to work out with the team. So I'm like, I tell them what to do all the time. I should know how to do it. So I went on the rowing machine, and my coordination was, I've never done it before, so my coordination was so bad, and the teacher, the coach was trying to teach me, and I'm like, I know this stuff, but my body doesn't know it. So I made myself learn how to do it bit by bit by isolating all the movements, and then I became really good at it. In fact, I went to a rowing class at a gym just to try it out, and I could tell the teacher was a former rower, a collegiate rower. And I said to him, I said, listen, I'm a coxswain. I'm not a rower. And so we went on the rowing machine, and I did everything correctly. And he says, you're a rower. And I'm like, got it. And so now I understood how to transform my body to whatever, supposed to, like a rower. And being an athlete, I always transformed my body to be from a runner to, volleyball or basketball or softball, or I did Muay Thai kickboxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You train differently for each sport, so that you transform your body. And so that's what I did with rowing. And then I'm like, you know what? If I can do it with rowing, I can do it with ballet. I just have to figure out how my movements are supposed to be and isolate those movements and work the isolations. And then I slowly, it's very, very painful. I cry a lot. There's times when I cry.
Aw, just because it's like hard to get certain moves.
Yeah, and sometimes I can't do it. And I'm like, and it's just a matter of, because I've never done it before. And so then I just start doing it. And I remember one time we did an across the floor in Chasen's class, and I couldn't do it. And I just forced myself to do it. And I did it. And I cried because I did it.
You cried of tears of happiness?
I did.
Okay. Like all kinds of tears happening.
All kinds of tears are
It's
going.
just like there's so much emotion in
There's
dance.
so much.
You're like elated about how good you did, and then you're like devastated about how bad you did. But
and sometimes I'm like, why am I here? Why am I doing
you're
this?
like, why am I even
And then I'm like, you know what? I've come this far. I've had so much pain.
Irene, why are you doing it? Let's talk about that. Why are you doing it?
Because when you get it right, it just feels so good.
Yeah.
You know. And and whatever I do, I always do my best, and I always try to get better. Like some people in class, they're okay just going to class and being just the way they are. But for me, if I'm going to class, class is learning and getting better. It's always been that way. And it just feels better. The better you get, the better you feel.
And so let's talk about how you did apply all of your getting better at ballet, because you were in the showcase.
I was.
So talk about that, or can you talk about the first time you did a showcase? Didn't you do one somewhere else?
I did one.
How long ago was the first time you ever did like a performance?
That was like about 5 years, 6 years ago.
Because you never performed in New York, right? Dance?
No,
okay.
no.
Just out here you did.
Yeah. And so, so the studio that I was going to in El Segundo, the owner, lovely lady, she would teach our ballet and jazz class, and but it was mostly children, and she would have a recital, and the children's recital was just phenomenal. It was so good. Everyone was good, from the little ones to the high school. They had great costumes, great choreography, great movies. Everything was great. And then it was the adult jazz women. We were all women class. And I don't know why we even had that class, or she taught us. Because anyway, I tried so hard learning the combination. I mean, I tried so hard. And then when we went on stage, I was like, we had to wait 2 8 counts before we went on stage. And when we practiced it over and over and over again, and I had it in my mind, I don't know what happened. The first 8 count, I went on stage. And I was on stage by myself for the longest 8 counts of my entire life. It's a good thing my back was towards the audience, but it was funny because I'm waiting for 8 counts for the rest of my group to come on. And then all of a sudden, like on the 4th count, the audience is starting to clap to encourage me to like go. Maybe they thought I was nervous and I was afraid because I was just standing there. And then, oh my God! And then they came, and then I started. I'm like, thank God I moved.
That is hilarious. I love that the audience started clapping. That is so funny.
I know.
So okay, that was traumatic. So after you
traumatic.
did that, you didn't do any performance for like a while after that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Because you were like, all right.
That's it.
But then so last year's showcase from Westside. So Westside School of Ballet in Santa Monica, they do usually a yearly, I guess they took a break during COVID and stuff, but I think they do a yearly like adult showcase performance.
Yeah.
So the first time you did it was this last one, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I remember you telling me about your previous traumatic experience, which I thought was here, but then I realized it was somewhere else. I was like, well, maybe it'll be different here. So talk about your experience with being a part of that here.
Right.
How's that?
I didn't want to, and then Mary Jo asked me, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, all right. I was still very, PTSD about the last one. And so I did, and sure enough, it was so stressful. Once again, it was stressful only because I didn't get enough practice. We were told that our classes would be videotaped so we could watch. I mean, we needed to watch. And the first class was videotaped, and then whoever promised didn't do it anymore, and we all freaked out. So
Like they stopped videoing it? What do you mean?
yeah, they didn't videotape it.
Oh.
They just didn't. And so I'm like, you know what? I have a camera. I have my little tripod. So I would tape the class and I would send it to everybody in the class.
That's
and
nice
they
of
were
you.
very thankful. But at the same time, it was crowded. I mean, a lot of people were in it. And I'm an actress. I'm a professional actress. So, and I didn't realize this until somebody actually, Chasen, said that people, these dancers, these adult dancers, are paying for the experience to be in a performance. Whereas as an actress, I get paid
Yeah.
to perform.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, this is my mentality, is I'm performing and people are actually paying tickets. So I want to be as good as possible. And these ladies are like, whatever, you know, whatever. And they're changing spots. They're not, you know, and they're hitting me. They don't care. Like if they're next to me, they'll hit me or kick me and or try to take my place. And I got elbowed in the eye.
Well, it was like a lot of people.
I got elbowed in the eye right between performances.
I remember you telling me
I got
that.
a bloodshot eye.
Oh.
And nobody says sorry, and they don't say sorry. I don't know why. So I remember after the first performance, I'm like, that's it. I'm tired of being violented. Like these people are. I'm going to be. So I stood up for myself, and I didn't let anybody hit me. And everybody was like, wow, wow. But at that, I shouldn't have to fend for myself. And so I'm like, that's it, no more.
How did you stand up for yourself to not let anyone hit you?
Well, I hit them back. Usually I like move or something. I just stayed my ground. I didn't hit them back. I stayed my ground and ending up, you know, hitting them. And they looked at me like I'm the culprit. So, and then, you know, and then
So
people.
much drama.
Right, so much drama. And then, you know, people would, you know, kick me and all that.
But the show looked so good.
It did
I thought
look
you were going
really
to say
good.
something good.
Everybody else loved it. I didn't. Well,
I saw it, and you
I
looked
know.
amazing.
But there was one part when I did two performances, and one of them was James' 80s thing. And we were in rehearsal, and we finished rehearsal, but he had an emergency rehearsal because we didn't all know the combination. And that was me. Because I'm not used to this choreography that he was doing. I couldn't get the arm-leg combination. And things just they were not in order. Nothing was in order. Things were changing. And I'm not that good. I mean, advanced people can do it. I could not do it. And I just could not get my arms and my legs. Everybody was going that way. I was going this way. Finally, they had an emergency rehearsal in the evening. Sure enough, the artistic director was there in class to watch us because I'm sure James is like, watch that girl over there. So we did it, and sure enough, I made a mistake. I purposely put myself in the last row in both performances, in James and in Chasen's, so that, and at the end, in the last row at the end, so that I could just like walk off stage and nobody would notice I was gone. So now we're in the emergency rehearsal. I messed up, of course. And so we stopped and James said, Irene, the good thing about being in the last row is that you can watch the people in front of you. And I'm like, oh boy, this is it. This is where I get fired. And I'm thinking, if I get fired, they better reimburse me. So now I'm like in my head, I don't know how I did it, but I forced myself to figure it out. This is like after 8 weeks of rehearsals, I still couldn't get it. So I finally forced myself to do it, and I did it right, which man, I was still in it. They didn't fire me, but I knew I was this close to being.
But then you did great.
Yeah, but it was so stressful the whole time.
But do you feel like, I mean, did you have any sort of joy from like, because you seemed happy when I talked to you afterwards, after the
Afterwards,
show.
I was so happy afterwards. I was so happy it ended. But I tell you, I tell you, but the thing is, like, I'm a professional. I'm a professional actress. And so I perform, like, no matter what. I'll give my best. And I kept thinking, I asked 10 of my dance classmates to buy tickets to the show. And I was like, am I going to have to pay them back because I was so bad?
No.
No. I wanted to be good. I mean, people are
Yeah.
paying. I cared about it. And
But
yeah, so
everyone
that's
did
why
so good.
it looked like it, but it was, it backstage. It was brutal for me. Man, I bet if you asked every single other person, they would have loved it. They said they would have the best time of their lives. They even cried because it ended. I was so happy. I was so
A lot of
happy.
people do like it, and a lot of people really thought it was a lot of fun, and they're like, are you going to do it this year, Tracy? And I probably would consider it, except I just can't commit to that schedule right now. But I saw the show, and it made me want to do it. It looked
Good.
so good, especially Chasen's piece, and you looked great, and everybody looked
I was
so
in the back
good.
row.
I saw you though.
Saw me?
I had a really good seat towards the
Okay.
front, and I could see.
I wish you took video because all
I
the
wish
other
I
videos,
did.
I was in the back, and I'm like, I can't even see myself, and I don't care. I'm like,
Well, it looked really good,
Thank
but I
you.
do think it would be
Thank you.
stressful to be in a show because, like, I haven't performed on a stage in a million years, so that would be with dance.
Right, but you're so you perform in all your videos
In classes,
class,
but that's different.
No, it's not different because you're like, you're being taped, you're performing, you're out there, you know the choreography, you go all out.
Well, I will say that's been a journey because a while ago, before the pandemic, the first time the teacher would pull out the video camera at the end of class, I would forget the whole thing. I would mess
See?
up the whole thing.
See?
And I would get so stressed out and nervous, and I would try to stand in the back, and I would mess it up. I had a
There you
teacher
go.
start it over before because they like looked at me weird because like I knew it, but then I forgot it. When the video
Right.
camera comes out, I get nervous.
Yes.
So I really think I would probably go through a similar journey if I started being on stage dancing because it is
Right.
different because
It is different.
it's not a video, so you can't edit it. You're not doing
Right.
4 videos and
You
you can
have
choose
to-
one. It's like
you have to do it
that's
correctly.
it. It's live. There's people there, and that's a different type of fear.
Right.
So I do think I would have to do stage performance more often, kind of like I did for video, to get more used to it.
Right.
Which I think if there was like all these opportunities and we had all this time, maybe we could get to a point where we didn't feel so overly stressed and like enjoyed it a little bit more. But since it is kind of like a once a year thing, you're like, am I really going to put myself through this like stress?
Well, I think I was
don't
the only
know.
one stressed. Everybody else had a great time. And like as an actress, the first time I went on stage, I loved it. I didn't have any
Oh, really?
problems.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a lot of theater in New York City. I mean, a lot. And I loved it. I never messed up. And I had so much fun. I felt so comfortable on stage that even if I did mess up, I knew how to get out of it or whatever. But I had so much fun and I was so comfortable. In fact, did you see Chasen's piece when? Oh yeah, you were.
Yeah.
You see, when I was on stage, so Chasen had a
Yeah,
thing,
when you did the acting
and
thing,
I did
yeah.
an acting thing on Chasen's thing, and
Chasen did put together a dance performance, but then had Irene do more of an acting type
I did
of
all. It
part.
was just
Yeah.
all acting, and he let me create all my acting. He didn't do one thing. He let me do the whole thing, and
She did very good, and that was a
Thank
very
you.
good show.
Thank you. And so, but the thing was, I think it was the first show that we did. They were telling me like I was the one that would go out first, but they had introduction music. So I was like, you have to tell me you have to show me the introduction music so I know when it's my music starts. And dancers are so like they know, but I'm not a professional dancer. So, and then the guy who wrote the music, he goes, "Oh, when it does this," da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. You have to show me. So I'm like, tell me. And he goes, all right, when the music, and he showed me on his laptop, when the music is like, da-dun, 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 that's when you go. So the first performance, it was pitch black. We were behind the curtain, and I'm supposed to go with my young daughter. and I'm hearing the music, and I hear, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, it's time for us to go. So we push her out, and we go, and we're walking along the stage, and then I hear, da 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 da, and I'm like, oh crap, I went out early.
Same thing that you did before.
Yeah, exactly, the same thing. And I'm like, no, great, now I have more time to be on the stage that I have to figure out what to do. And but I did. I felt fine. I just I went through it, and I improvised, and then I did. Everything came out great. And afterwards, Chasen said, yeah, you went out early, but he says you're a professional, so I knew everything would be okay, and everything was
That's
okay.
what I was gonna say. Like you,
and everything was
having
okay.
this experience multiple times, you know, you're like, okay, I'm just being me, going out early again.
But I didn't mean to. Like, I have to be perfect. I have to get out there on
Yeah,
this.
that
You know,
is
I
so
wanted
funny.
to do everything right.
Yeah,
People are paying money.
yeah.
You know.
But nobody could tell.
Nobody
And you did great.
Yeah,
and
because
yeah,
I made it that way.
yeah.
But I was like,
That's
in my
hilarious,
head, I'm like,
though. You're like out there, and then you hear that. That's so funny. Oh my gosh, that was so good though. Irene, we had such a good conversation. It just goes by so fast.
I
Irene
know.
and I could talk. We could just hang
Forever.
out and talk for like hours and hours, and I
Hours.
wouldn't even notice the
Yeah,
time going by at
exactly.
all. But I'm trying to see if there's any like, do you? Well, I don't know if you have an answer to this. Do you have any new goal or hope for dance, or is it just like I just want to keep getting better? I just like the practice. I like going to class.
I do like getting better, and it would be really nice actually to do a dance show, but I won't do it until I feel very comfortable with
okay.
my body, and that I can live up to the choreography and the music and the story and everything like that. So yeah, but I do have a funny story.
Okay.
A few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was 6 years old, my mom put me in ballet and tap.
Oh, so you did do it when you were really little.
Yeah, six or seven. And I remember doing it in class, and I remember having a fun time, and then we had recital.
Oh no. I can't wait to hear what happened.
So I'm in the back room putting on my first costume, and I'm excited. So sitting down, I don't know, putting my shoes on or something, and the teacher and my mom, they come over to me, and they're like, Irene, your underwear is showing.
What?
Like the costume is showing outside. My underwear is longer than the costume, and I'm like, that's all right. I'm all right. I'm fine. And they're like, no. Like, look, the other little girls, they took their underwears off, so that it looks, looks good. And I'm like, I'm fine. And they couldn't talk me into getting my underwear off, so my underwear was like outside of my costume.
How could it be outside your costume? Oh, like outside of the leotard part?
Right.
Oh, that's
right.
funny.
So, I went out there, and and years later I look back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom was probably in the audience and next to another mom, and the mom's like to my mom, hey, which one's your daughter? My mom's like, see the little one with the underwear sticking out of her costume? And then my mom never put me back into class again.
She was like, I won't go through that embarrassment.
And I don't know if it was my mom or the teacher's like, no, she's not good. And I'm thinking, you know what? If I took my underwear off, I would be a prima ballerina right now. I would have kept going to class, and I would have been really good. It was because I didn't take my underwear off. And so, but I'm thinking, you know what? If I had a little girl and she didn't want to take her underwear off, I would say, that's right. You're not taking your underwear off until you're 40 years old. You keep that underwear off. And don't let anyone ever ask you to take your underwear off.
That is a really weird thing to be like, you need to take your underwear off. Ooh. Okay, but random question. Well, not
Yes.
random. To do with what we're talking about. Do professional ballerinas wear underwear?
No, they don't. They do not wear underwear.
Like none of them?
I don't wear underwear anymore with my leotard. You're not supposed to.
I do.
Well, you didn't read the instructions.
Is it on the tag?
It is.
Don't wear underwear.
I did. I read the instructions. And that's the good thing about wearing a leotard is Like I used to wear my underwear and then my shorts and then my bra, sports bra, and then a camisole. And now it's just a leotard.
Wow. You've stepped it up.
I did.
I'm not quite there yet. I'm still at your 6-year-old version of you. I'm like, I'll let my underwear stick out. Well, it doesn't stick out because I put something over it, like shorts.
You probably
or
have like
something.
a bikini or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever wear my leotard without underwear. But anyways, we're getting a little personal now, but that's okay. That's gonna get the views. So, so yeah, I guess Irene, I feel like we talked about a lot. This was fun. Do you like? Just a personal question.
Yeah.
What do you like to do besides dance? Anything or just dance? Acting and dancing?
Acting, dancing. Well, I love my weight training. I do weight training to get better at dance. And then I still do two-stepping. I used to go every Saturday, two-stepping and line dancing. I love that. And I was a pool player at one time. I have a trophy.
Oh, really?
I have a trophy.
Wait,
I'm really
my
good.
dad is like a champion pool player.
Yeah, well, I was on 2 pool teams in New York City. And I got
We need
really
to play pool sometime because actually I'm not actually good at it because I don't really do it often, but I do like it.
I like it because I'll go, to a bar or whatever, and they'll have a pool table. Nobody expects me to play pool.
I know, I was actually pretty shocked.
Yeah,
I
nobody
was
expects
not
me.
expecting. I'm really glad I asked you that question.
But it's usually guys who play pool, so they're like, "Oh, girl," and I'm like, "Let's see, let's go." One time, because I go to Montana's. It's a country western club.
Yeah,
for
I've heard of it.
two-stepping and line dancing, but they have a pool
Okay.
table in a section where all these pool players go. So if I get bored, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go play pool because I'm bored. I end up having the table the whole night long. It's kind of funny.
Because everybody wants to play you?
No, because I keep winning. The winner
stays there.
Yeah,
okay, I don't
the
know
winner
these rules.
stays
Okay.
there. Yeah, the winner stays
Wow.
there.
Well, I would want to play pool with you to get better because I know you would definitely beat me.
That's not how you get better.
Don't you get better by playing good people?
No, you get. So what happened was when I was in New York, I was in a bar and I didn't feel like just standing around or whatever and drinking. I saw a pool table and I kind of know the basics, right? So I put my quarters in and I played and I was trying to hit the white ball into the solid ball.
You just played it by yourself or with someone?
No, with somebody.
Okay.
You always play with someone.
Yeah.
And so there was this young guy and he was watching and he was looking at me and he goes, there's a technique to that.
Oh, this is what you love. You love technique.
My whole world just expanded. And I'm like, oh, really? Now there's a technique. Now I have to know what the technique is. So I talked him into teaching me the technique.
Oh, nice.
But there's another funny story. This guy is a young guy, and he said to me, he doesn't play pool anymore because he used to be a shark. He used to be like hustle people for money.
Yeah.
Well, one day he hustled the wrong person. This is in New York City.
They hustled him back?
No, he hustled the wrong person. He was like the wrong person was like mafia or something.
Oh.
So he won all this money from this guy. The guy realized he was a hustler, took him in the back room and was about to kill him. And he prayed to God. He says, please, if you get me out of this with my life intact, I will never play pool again. And so somehow he didn't get killed. So now
he doesn't play pool.
Fast forward, I'm asking him to teach me. And he told me this story. And I said, listen, you won't be playing pool. You're just going to teach me.
But weren't you playing pool with him?
So we go to the pool hall where they have the big tables. And he's teaching me a couple of things. And I said, okay, let's have a game. It's like bringing an alcoholic to a bar, right? And you don't have to drink, or just take one little sip. And so I said, all right, we're going to play 8-ball, but you can only have 2 shots. Whether you get the balls in or not, it's my turn because I want that handicap, right?
Okay.
Sure enough, he always gets the 2 balls in, and then it's my turn. And then it was down to 2 balls and the 8-ball. So I'm like, he's going to get the 2 balls in, and then I go for the 8-ball. I'm going to beat this guy. So he goes and he shoots the first ball into the pocket. Then he shoots the second ball into the pocket, but the cue ball is still going around the billiard table and knocks the 8-ball into the pocket.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, this guy is like, he's so good. That's why you hustled. He's so good. And then he's like, he goes, you know what? I can tell who to hustle. He's looking around the billiard ball. I'm like, that guy, he would be really good to hustle. And I'm like, oh my God,
wow, you just brought him back.
I just brought him back. He's just falling off the wagon. And then I never saw him again. But what I did was I went to another pool hall and I would practice. And then there was a teacher that taught classes and would teach us drills. So for pool to get better, you have to learn the basic drills on how to hit the ball into the pocket. And I would practice for hours and hours and hours every day by myself. And then one of the managers said, hey, we have pool tournaments. You can either join a team or make one up, make your own team. And so I'm like, all right. And so I got some guys that I know to be on my team. And we played in the tournament. And then another, that was like the big tables. And then we had, there was another tournament for the bar tables, the smaller ones. I joined that one. And I was the only girl in both teams. But in my team, the one that I got with my friends, my guy friends, I called it 3 Men and a Babe. Remember that show?
Yeah.
2 Men and a Baby. We called it 3 Men.
That was a movie, right?
Yeah,
3 Men and a Baby.
2 Men and a Baby. Yeah. And so I called it 3 Men and a Babe. And then one time we had a tournament. This is in New York City, and it was a Jewish holiday. And my friends were like, "We can't play. We're Jewish. We can't play." And I'm like, should have called it 3 Jews and a Goya. But it was fun. And the bar pool that team that I had, that's when I won the trophy. And this is how I won. Not just practicing. Oh, it's getting late. Not just practicing, but when I was at the pool hall, there was professional people that would not only practice but would teach other people. So there was this one guy, he was getting lessons from a professional pool player, and he knows that if you teach what you just learned, it instills it into yourself. Yeah. So he said, "Can I teach you what I just learned?" And I'm like, "Sure." And it was for free. So we both got something out of it. And boy, did my game really improve so much that I was running the table, like getting all my balls in.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
that's crazy. That's cool. I feel like you apply this
but that's what you have to do
level
with
of excellence to everything you do.
But it starts out with technique.
Yeah.
And it starts out with the basics.
Yeah.
You have to as soon as you get good at the basics, you automatically advance.
Yeah. Which is why the professional ballet dancers who sometimes come to our beginner class on Saturday morning, they still do the basic pliés, the basic tendus, even the ones that are performing and making money doing it.
That's right.
Because you always need to keep doing the basics.
Right. And I spoke with a professional pool player, and he goes, if he has an off day, he goes back to the basics, and he does those basic drills over and over and over again.
That's cool, though. I feel like it does take a certain type of person that kind of enjoys that, like, I mean, it's hard, but you enjoy it enough to, like, want to keep practicing the technique and growing in that way. And so it's so cool to know that you applied that to pool. I love that because I did not know you liked pool, and I have like a small enjoyment of pool. So that's interesting to me. Anyways, we are going to be late for we're not going to be late for class because Irene comes an hour early to stretch, which I always say I'm going to do with her, or I'm going to try sometime, but I never do. But today I was like, I'll stretch with you since we're coming early to do the interview. So we're going to be late to our hour early stretching time before ballet. So we have to go, but hope you enjoy learning about Irene and all her ballet history. I know I did, so.
We could do part 2.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, we'll ask you if you guys want part 2.
Yeah, if you want part 2, let us know. And for now, just please like, subscribe, follow, 5 stars, all those things, and we'll see you next time. Yes.
And you can follow me on Instagram too. Tracy will you'll put mine.
Do you want to say? Okay, I'll put Irene's Instagram in the notes, and you can follow her. All right.
Cool. All right. Bye.
Bye.